Get out. I'll call the police if you don't leave, James yelled, his face red with anger. He stood in our living room, holding a young woman close. I stayed seated in my chair, calmly sipping my tea. Go ahead, I said, setting my cup down. I'm sure the police would love to see what I have. My name is Sarah Mitchell. After 15 years of marriage, my husband was kicking me out for his new girlfriend. But what he didn't know was that I had been preparing for this moment for 5 years. You heard him, the young woman Lisa added. She clutched a fancy purse but smelled of cheap perfume. This is his house. You have no right to be here. I smiled. James always liked women who were easy to control, just like he once controlled me. Actually, I said, standing up, let's talk about who really owns this house, James. His face turned pale. He knew that tone. It meant I had the upper hand. There's nothing to talk about, he snapped, but I noticed he let go of Lisa's waist. The house is in my name. You signed everything away when we married, remember? Oh, I remembered. He tricked me into signing papers, telling me they were just a formality. I was young and in love. I trusted him. But 5 years ago, I found a receipt, dinner for two, on a night he said he was working. That's when I started watching him closely. I walked to the bookshelf, pulled out a thick book, and opened it. Inside, I had hidden a USB drive and some papers. Funny thing about documents, I said, laying them on the coffee table. They leave trails. Digital, paper, all kinds. James stepped forward, his confidence fading. What are you talking about? Bank records, I said, pointing at the papers. You've been moving our money into secret accounts, buying properties under fake names. I glanced at Lisa. Including the apartment you live in. Lisa's eyes widened. James? What is she saying? James didn't answer. He just stared at the papers, realizing he was caught. You spied on me, he growled. I protected myself, I corrected. Did you think I wouldn't notice? The late nights, the secret phones, the fake business trips. I held up another document, and the fake property records. What fake records? Lisa whispered. The ones claiming James owns this house alone. I said. But the real papers say otherwise. Would you like to see them? James lunged to grab the documents, but I stepped back. Careful, I warned. I have copies. Everything is safe with my lawyer. If you try anything, it won't end well for you. You're bluffing, he muttered, but his voice shook. I played a recording on my phone, his voice, loud and clear, talking about hiding money from me. Lisa gasped. 5 years of evidence, James, I said. Would you like to hear the part where you say Lisa is just a tool to avoid losing money in our divorce? Lisa clutched her purse, stepping away from him. What? James was silent, his face twisted with anger and fear. I could see him struggling to figure out what to do next. So, I said, gathering my papers, should we settle this now, or would you prefer to do it with the police present? The room fell silent. Lisa realized she wasn't part of a love story. She was part of a scam. You planned this? James whispered. Yes, I said with a smile. I learned from the best, you. The difference? I took better notes. James sank onto the couch, all his confidence gone. Lisa stood near the door, nervously playing with her purse strap. I don't understand, she said quietly. James told me you were just staying here for now, that you had no legal rights. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. James likes to change the truth to fit his story, I said, keeping my voice calm. He did the same thing to me 15 years ago when we met. He seemed confident, successful. I trusted him. I looked her in the eye. Sound familiar? She blushed and took a step back. This is all lies. James shouted suddenly, but his voice wasn't strong. You made all of this up because you're jealous. No one will believe you. I picked up my phone and scrolled through my files. Do you want to hear the recording of your call with your lawyer last month? The one where you discussed transferring property without my knowledge? Or maybe the one with your banker about hiding money? James turned pale. He recorded me. I smiled. I didn't have to. Phones can do a lot. Record, track, store information. And when someone is careless with passwords, it makes things very easy. Lisa gasped. The retirement account you promised me doesn't exist, I said before James could lie again. At least not in the way he told you. That money was taken from our joint accounts 3 months ago. But it's been frozen now, along with some other suspicious transfers. James jumped up, pointing at me. You had no right. That was private. I had every right, I said. Joint accounts, joint assets, joint property. The law is clear on that. I held up another paper. Your lawyer even explained it to you in this recorded conversation. You should have listened. Lisa had heard enough. She grabbed her coat from the chair where she had confidently tossed it earlier. I can't. I need to go, she mumbled. Lisa, wait. James called, but she was already walking to the door. Don't contact me again, she said firmly. I don't want any part of this. The door slammed behind her, leaving James and me alone in silence. The home we built together, the one he tried to take from me, suddenly felt too small for both of us. What do you want? He finally asked, his voice tired. What I always wanted, I said. A fair division of what we built together. Nothing more, nothing less. He let out a bitter laugh. You've ruined everything. No, James, you did that yourself. I just made sure I wouldn't be your victim. I walked to the kitchen and came back with a folder I had prepared months ago. Inside were divorce papers, property division agreements, and a full record of our shared assets. Your lawyer already has copies of everything, I said, placing the folder on a coffee table. You have two choices. We can settle this fairly, or we can let the courts decide after they review all the evidence I've collected. Your choice. James picked up the folder, his hands shaking. How long have you been planning this? Long enough to know every excuse you'll make, every trick you'll try, I said. I learned from watching you. Every scheme, every lie. I took notes. He flipped through the papers, his jaw clenching as he realized how trapped he was. You've been playing me this whole time, he muttered. No, I've been protecting myself, I corrected him. There's a difference. I gathered my documents and headed upstairs to the guest room. The room I had moved into a year ago, though James never questioned why. Behind me, I heard him mumbling to himself, still trying to find a way out of the mess he had created. I closed the door and let out a shaky breath. 5 years of planning, watching, pretending. It had all led to this. This wasn't just about money or property. It was about every woman who had trusted him, every person he had lied to. My phone buzzed with a message from Lisa. I'm sorry, I didn't know. I didn't reply. She wasn't the first woman he fooled, and if I hadn't been prepared, she wouldn't have been the last. But tomorrow would start a new chapter, one where James finally faced the consequences of his choices, and I took back what was mine. The next evening came quickly. I sat in my lawyer's office, watching James shift uncomfortably in his chair. His lawyer looked defeated, knowing they had no way to fight the overwhelming evidence I had gathered. All accounts will be split equally, my lawyer, Amanda, said firmly. The house will be sold and the money divided. The vacation home in Lake Tahoe will go to Sarah as compensation for the funds James transferred to shell companies. James said nothing. He just signed each page, his arrogance gone. His plan had completely fallen apart, and now he was left with exactly what he had tried to keep from me, half of everything. One last thing, Amanda added, sliding another paper forward. The apartment where Lisa Anderson is living will also be sold. The money will go back to the marital assets. James's head snapped up. You can't. We can, Amanda interrupted. The apartment was bought with shared money. It's all documented. Unless you want to argue this in court. His hand trembled as he signed. As we left the office, James grabbed my arm. How did you do it? He asked in a low voice. I never even suspected. I gently pulled away. You taught me well, James. You just never thought I'd use those lessons against you. 3 months later, I stood in my new mountain home, bought with my share of the assets. Sunlight streamed through the tall windows, lighting up boxes I still needed to unpack. My phone buzzed with a message from Lisa. The apartment's sold. I found my own place. Thank you for the wake-up call. I smiled. James had planned to use her, but instead, she found the strength to start over. Another text popped up, this one from James's sister, Emma. You did what I've wanted to do for years. He's finally facing the consequences. Mom and Dad are embarrassed by everything he did. Maybe he'll learn. I doubted it, but that wasn't my problem anymore. My only focus now was on the future I had built for myself. The doorbell rang. Amanda, with the final property transfer documents. It's all done, she said, handing them to me. James didn't fight any of it. He knew he had no choice. Not smart, I said. just trapped. There's a difference. We sat outside, sipping wine on my new deck, overlooking the lake. You know, Amanda said, in all my years as a lawyer, I've never seen someone handle a divorce this perfectly. Most people react with anger. They make mistakes. I thought back to those 5 years, watching, waiting, collecting proof. Patience is more powerful than revenge, I said. James never understood that. Later that night, as I unpacked, I found an old wedding photo of us. We looked so happy back then, unaware of what was coming. But I felt no anger now, only gratitude for the lessons I had learned. My phone buzzed. A message from James. I underestimated you. I'm sorry. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. I had my freedom, my fair share, and the quiet satisfaction of knowing I had outsmarted the man who thought he could leave me with nothing. I looked out at the sunset over the lake and raised my wine glass. Here's to patience, to careful planning, and to justice served cold. Some might call it revenge, but I called it taking back what was mine. James had taught me that, just not in the way he intended. And in the end, that was his greatest gift to me.